Gu Zeyuan travels to the world of anime, where Qingmei is Yingli Li, his sister is Bai, his desk mate is Under the Snow, the school flower next door is Hui Ye, and his new neighbor is Jia Baili. I thought I could experience a better life in daily anime. As a result, I found the female giant Ani when I went out. At the corner, I met the great god Daili Shi. Is there a cement sculpture that can twist a person's neck as long as you look away? A shy person who will be chased to the ends of the earth with just one glance. An immortal lizard that adapts to any environment and constantly evolves. Gu Zeyuan felt numb. For the sake of his harmonious daily life, he established the SCP Foundation to accommodate anomalies from all over the world. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Picking up a female giant in the daily anime world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In short, it has been achieved. A young man named Gu Zeyuan sighed as he looked at the admission notice in his hand. From the notification, it can be seen that Top 1 in the National Joint Examination. Ranked first, a perfect balance of mathematics and physics. Admitted to Chiba Municipal General Military College. These words. The name Zongwu High School may be familiar to you all. In fact, it is the home college where the youth romance story takes place. Yes, it's a very cliché setting. Gu Zeyuan is a traveler, and this world is a daily anime world. At least until today, Gu Zeyuan has determined so. In this blue starry island country, there are 3 famous higher education institutions. These 3 imperial families are known as those who passed the exam and have a bright future. They are respectively the General Military College of Qingwu, Miss Hui Ye's Private Shoji Academy, Private 100 Flowers King Academy in the Abyss of Wild Gambling. As a traveler, Gu Zeyuan relied on his knowledge from 2 lifetimes and a somewhat genius mind. I won the top 1 position in the joint examination. Of course, all 3 colleges offered olive branches to Gu Zeyuan. Gu Zeyuan, who had some knowledge of all 3 works, decisively chose the General Military College. Although General Wu is the weakest among the 3 families. However, compared to what is known as the Aristocratic Academy, there are even pure academies and mixed academies in Shoji Academy. And the 100 Flowers King Academy, which uses gambling as its signature and even operates a livestock system. Zongwu is so reassuring. Putting away the admission letter, Gu Zeyuan jumped off the swing and prepared to return to his own apartment. This is a small park around Gu Zeyuan's apartment. Under the afterglow of the sunset, the twilight scattered throughout the park. The autumn wind blows over the grass, creating a wave of blue-green. Ah, the rest of life is a visible light to the naked eye. And amidst such beautiful scenery a golden lightning flashed through the air. The roar echoed through this peaceful park. Gu Zeyuan froze in his movements and withdrew his steps. The golden lightning struck right in front of him. Almost 1 or 2 more steps forward will bring you to the center of the sky. At that time, I think we can start the next round of travel. Gu Zeyuan took a deep breath and tried to calm his heartbeat. But at this moment, I heard the sound of breaking through the air again. Gu Zeyuan looked up slightly and saw a figure rapidly falling from the air. This time, the body is faster than the mind. Gu Zeyuan stepped forward, extended his arm, and caught the falling figure. The expected huge impact has not arrived. Gu Zeyuan thought that his arm might break. But in reality, after a slight release of force, he firmly caught it. With a sigh of relief, Gu Zeyuan looked at the person in his arms. That is a girl. He should be younger than Gu Zeyuan now. The girl has a head of golden hair, delicate features, and a high and straight nose, making her a very typical Western beauty. Outside the white hoodie, there is a jacket. Gu Zeyuan always feels like this jacket very familiar. And more importantly, the girl has a strange device around her waist. Similar to a small black box, hanging on both sides of a girl's waist. After studying for a while, Zeyuan came to a conclusion. Isn't this a 3-dimensional maneuvering device? It doesn't look like COS at all. More importantly, there is no comic about giants in this world. Zeyuan placed the girl on the ground and held her with one hand. In this way, one hand can be freed up. Zeyuan extended his sinful hand towards the 3-dimensional maneuvering device, attempting to explore its authenticity. Just when the hand touches the device strap, the girl opened her eyes. Zeyuan and the girl faced each other with 4 eyes. That is a pair of blue eyes. It looks great. But the current scene is not the time to appreciate the other person's beauty. At this moment, Zeyuan held onto the girl with one hand, and with the other hand, he wickedly explored her chest. No way, the upper strap of the 3-dimensional maneuvering device is very high, above the lower abdomen. And in such a scenario it looks like a crime scene no matter what. Zeyuan twitched twice at the corner of his mouth and spoke. That, I can explain. However, in the next moment, the girl kicked Zeyuan's chest like a nimble rabbit. Zeyuan immediately raised his hand to block it. The two of them distanced themselves from each other. The girl rolled on the ground, her eyes vigilantly fixed on Zeyuan, while raising her left hand. She opened her mouth and stayed on her left hand, as if she was ready to bite at any moment. Upon seeing this scene, Zeyuan had a rough estimate in his heart. This girl is either a severe second-degree patient with a crossover. Either it is Annie Leonard herself, who holds the power of a female giant in a certain giant work. Because the setting of the giant work is that humans who inherit the power of giants want to transform into giants. It requires physical trauma and a determined purpose. The girl's move is to create trauma at any time. Annie Leonard. Zeyuan exclaimed tentatively. Annie was stunned for a moment, but still didn't take off his guard. He frowned and looked at Zeyuan, asking. Who are you? What is the purpose of catching me? Zeyuan let out a long sigh. It looks like it's me. Zeyuan felt a bit confused for a moment, but still explained. Annie, look around. This is not the world you are familiar with. As for why you appeared here, I don't know, you need to recall it yourself. I have no ill intentions towards you. I hope you can calm down and sit down to talk. Zeyuan also did not want to transform into a giant of conversation, but now he was forced to be helpless. If Annie in front of me, under impulse, transforms into a 15-meter-tall female giant, he probably needs to send it on the spot. Upon hearing this, Annie finally put down his hand after a long silence. However, he found a strange ring from his pocket and put it on his hand. Zeyuan knew that it was a ring with a sharp blade inside that was stabbed. With this, you can transform at any time. Obviously, it is impossible for a girl to completely let go of her guard in just a few words. However, it has always developed in a positive direction. At this moment, a panel suddenly popped up in front of Zeyuan. Mechanical sounds resound in the brain. The Wanjie shelter system has been bound, the hope of humanity. The Wanjie shelter system sends you our sincerest greetings. The new book sets sail, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 2. Wanjie Interception System, Control, Interception. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The main purpose of the Wanjie containment system is to control, secure, contain, and protect. The current world space wall is weak and will gradually enter anomalies as a binder. You need to accommodate anomalies and protect human cognition. When you successfully contain an abnormality, the system will give you the number of lucky draws based on the level and degree of containment. Lottery allows you to obtain exceptional abilities to ensure that you can complete the containment of stronger anomalies. Human beings cannot live in fear. You will become the hope of humanity. We control, we shelter, we protect. Looking at the panel in front of me, listening to the mechanical sounds in my mind. Gu Zeyuan realized that his harmonious daily life was gone forever. Looking at Ani in front of me. The holder of the power of this female giant should, even if it's an anomaly. And Ani, at this moment, is observing the surrounding environment. Originally, Ani had no real feelings towards Gu Zeyuan's statement that, the world is not what you are familiar with. But when the gaze swept over the surrounding high-rise buildings, Ani suddenly understood the meaning of this sentence. This will not be the inner world of Parati Island, nor will it be the Malay people of one's own origin. Compared to the cities in front of us, both are too backward. So, what exactly is this place? Ani felt panic, but still looked coldly at the young man in front of her. Where is this? Who are you? Why do you know my name? Gu Zeyuan shook his head, and instead of answering these series of questions, he spoke up. Let's leave here first and go to my house. There was a lot of commotion when you appeared. Continuing to stay here may lead to being caught and questioned. After speaking, Gu Zeyuan didn't wait for Ani's response and walked towards the exit of the park. Just now a golden lightning bolt fell, causing a lot of noise. Maybe there will be JC to investigate the situation. At that time, Ani without identification may be arrested and treated as a stowaway. Ani reached out to stop Gu Zeyuan. She didn't want to follow Gu Zeyuan like this, maybe it was heading towards a trap. But looking around at the completely unfamiliar scene, Ani gritted his teeth and eventually followed suit. In this unfamiliar world, the boy in front of her is temporarily her only bridge with the world. Listening to the footsteps behind him, Gu Zeyuan let out a sigh. Anyway, it was a deception. Taking out his phone from his pocket, Gu Zeyuan made an online purchase. Ani's alert voice came from the side and rear. What is it in your hand? Gu Zeyuan naturally crossed out the online shopping page and handed his phone to Ani. This is a mobile phone, a communication tool. It's probably an upgraded version of the phone. Upon hearing this, Ani immediately grabbed Gu Zeyuan's phone. Do you want to inform your companions? Malaysia's technological level is around World War I, and there are still telephones available. In this unfamiliar and technologically advanced world that clearly surpasses Malaysia, Ani tries her best to keep her cognition unrestricted. However, poor Ani thinks that phones also need to speak in order to communicate. So, I don't know, Gu Zeyuan just arranged some things. Gu Zeyuan shook his head. The phone also has other functions besides communication, which can help you understand the world faster and is designed for you to use. Ani was stunned at the words and then fell silent. She didn't use the phone, she held it in her hand. The two of them crossed the street, road, and alley together. On the way, Gu Zeyuan patiently taught Ani. That's a traffic light that restricts vehicles and pedestrians' passage. You should know about vehicles, right? Okay, it's green light now, we can take action. That's an image, a picture played on the screen, similar to television. Do you know about television? Don't be nervous, that's just a passerby. He's curious about the device on your waist, not malicious. Alright, this is the house I live in. Wait, I'll open the door. Gu Zeyuan chattered on all the way, while Ani remained silent. The two finally arrived at the apartment. Gu Zeyuan's apartment is quite large and of the standalone type. A little bit of money, but not much. Gu Zeyuan took out the key and opened the door of the apartment. Ani looked cautiously at the entrance of the apartment, with no intention of entering. He behaved somewhat like a wild cat. Gu Zeyuan sighed. There's no one inside, there won't be any traps. If you want to obtain intelligence, you need to have at least a little trust in me. Anabai's blue eyes stared at Gu Zeyuan for a while before finally saying. You're walking ahead. In the end, the two of them walked into the apartment one in front of the other. At the living room, Zeyuan took a seat and sat down, pointing to the seat across from him. "Ani, sit down." Ani originally didn't want to sit down. But perhaps it was because Zeyuan just said, "Trust," that he still sat down. "So, can you tell me where this is now?" Ani stared at Zeyuan and asked. Zeyuan picked up the kettle from the dining table, poured himself a glass of water, and drank it all in one gulp. Then he spoke up and said. "This is the Blue Star, the Sakura country, a world without Malaysia and Paradise Island." This sentence made Ani's pupils shrink. She instinctively wanted to speak up and refute. After all, this is too absurd. But, remembering all the things I've just seen along the way. High-rise buildings can be seen everywhere. A completely orderly new type of vehicle on the street. A huge television hanging from the top of a tall building. Ani ultimately couldn't say anything. She lowered her head, her expression noticeably desolate. She agreed to go back. "I have to go back to that house no matter what, but now, what should we do?" Ani has no idea how to get into this unfamiliar world. But soon, Ani realized something was wrong. "Why do you know my name? Do you know me? Why does the young man in front of me know my name and seem to know my appearance very well? In this unfamiliar world, no one should know her." Zeyuan said with a somewhat mournful expression. "Perhaps it's fate." Immediately afterwards, he stood up and walked towards the nearby room. Ani immediately became vigilant. But soon, Zeyuan returned with a thick stack of paper in his hand. The new book set sale, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 3. The items for express delivery are computer accessories. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zeyuan has been traveling for 3 years. In 3 years, besides studying hard and striving for the opportunity to enter the general martial arts, I also did some other things naturally. For example, be a copywriter. There's no way, people always have to make money. After much thought, Zeyuan ultimately decided to study comics. The best selling products in the Sakura country market are light novels and comics. But for light novels, Zeyuan is at a loss. He rarely underestimates novels, and most of them cannot be read. He still prefers anime and manga more. So, the works that Zeyuan can present can only be comics. After 2.5 years of comic practice, Zeyuan embarked on his debut creation. Giant. So fate is beyond words. Amidst Ani's puzzled gaze, Zeyuan handed her a stack of hand-painted manuscripts. Ani took it for unknown reasons. With a skeptical gaze, he looked at Zeyuan and confirmed that he had no other movements before turning to the manuscript in his hand. As a result, at the moment of seeing the first page, Ani's pupils suddenly shrank. Is this the inner world of Parati Island? Is this Alan and Mikasa? Looking at the vivid comic content on the manuscript, Ani widened her eyes. After quickly flipping through a few pages, Ani confirmed the authenticity of the comic. It's exactly what happened before Parati Island. Betterhold transformed into a giant and kicked open the city wall, then Lena broke open the inner wall. The comic in hand unfolds from Alan's perspective, documenting the incident of the fall of Maria's wall. As one of the initiators of the incident, Ani was not only shocked, but also filled with pain in his heart. It was her and Lena who broke through the city wall, causing countless people inside to be eaten. These people who have been eaten are not so-called demons. They are just ordinary people and also have family and friends. Ani took a deep breath and suppressed the painful emotions in her heart. As the manuscript flipped in my hand, soon, Ani saw himself appear. as one of the 104 training soldiers. The training and selection process is exactly the same as her experience. Stop flipping through the pages of the manuscript. Because her experience ends here, but there is still a thick stack on the manuscript page. Ani's hand trembled slightly, and after struggling, he turned to the next page. As expected, a picture of the future appeared on the manuscript page. Page by page flipping. Until the last page is read. Ani put down the original manuscript and looked at Zeyuan. In this original manuscript, Zeyuan painted the part of Ani's self-proclaimed crystallization. Although he didn't want to admit it, Ani put himself in the shoes and considered it. I am likely to make the same choices as the content on paper. Attacking a companion, revealing a weakness due to a soft heart, and then struggling to the death before being exhausted. So, is what is on this painting the future? That's it's quite miserable. Seeing Ani put down the painting and remain silent, Zeyuan spoke up. There is a connection between the world, and occasionally what happens in one world is transmitted to another world. Some people will receive this information, call it inspiration, and then create various types of works for circulation. Of course, that's not the point. The point is Ani, you have the power to surpass ordinary people. There are various anomalies in this world that threaten human survival, and I want to protect humanity. Ani, can you lend me a hand in accommodating those anomalies and protecting humanity? Ani listened to these words and looked up at Zeyuan. At this moment, Ani's mind was very chaotic. Crossing the world, originally in the future, all kinds of things left Ani feeling at a loss. At this moment, he was asked to save humanity or something. Ani shook her head. I just want to go back. Upon hearing this, Zeyuan sighed. Okay, since that's the case, I won't force it. It's too late, you should be hungry too. I'll prepare the dishes. Anyway, let's eat until we're full. Speaking, Zeyuan stood up and prepared to go to the kitchen. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Ani instinctively became vigilant. Zeyuan did wave his hand to signal her peace of mind. It should be express delivery, just like when you buy something and the store owner delivers it to you. Ani nodded in disbelief. Zeyuan came to the door and asked loudly, "May I ask what's up?" An answer came from outside the door. Express delivery, the package is a computer accessory, please check it. Ani in the living room finally felt relieved when she heard the conversation. Zeyuan opened the door and brought in the computer accessories. Later, he walked into the kitchen, took out ingredients from the refrigerator, and began cooking. Soon, 2 portions of egg fried rice were fresh out of the pot. After serving the table, Zeyuan took out a bottle of cola from the refrigerator and brought a cup for Ani as well. Egg fried rice sells well. After all, living alone for 3 years, Zeyuan's cooking skills have been honed to a high level. Sitting opposite Ani, Zeyuan scooped up a spoonful of fried rice eggs and put them into his mouth. Well, the level is very high. Eat it. Zeyuan greeted Ani. Can you give me your portion? Ani asked in a low voice. Although she believed Zeyuan's words, she did not let down her guard. Zeyuan helplessly nods and replaces fried rice with Ani. Thank you. Ani said sincerely. Then, Ani took a big bite and started eating. It would be great to have cold bread to eat during the days on Parati Island. In contrast, egg fried rice is absolutely a superfood. And Ani has been hungry for a long time. But soon, Ani choked due to eating too quickly. Zeyuan pointed to cola. This is a drink called Coca-Cola, it tastes great. Give it a try. Ani shook his head, picked up the kettle on the table, and poured himself a glass of water. After drinking it, Ani frowned. It has a strange smell. Is the water quality poor? As this question surfaced in my mind, the image in front of me also began to shake. The feeling of spinning around the world struck. Damn it. Ani suddenly realized something was wrong, and while she was still conscious, she swiped her finger towards the specially made ring. A metal barb popped out of the ring. Blood splattered. The last scene that Ani saw before falling into a coma. Gu Zeyuan took the lead and reached out to grab her palm, completely covering the ring. Go to sleep. The sound echoed in my ears and then fell completely into darkness. The new book set sail, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 4. Taking in the female giant and rewarding the black light virus. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Take the unconscious Ani into your arms. Reached out and took off the specially made ring. Remove the 3-dimensional maneuvering device. Then the princess picked up Ani and walked towards the bedroom, placing him on the bed. Well, it sounds like the segment that can't be broadcasted right away. In short, the containment was successful. Gu Zeyuan breathed a sigh of relief. Find the soft nylon rope from the drawer. This material, even if struggling hard, is difficult to scratch the skin. Gu Zeyuan carefully tied Ani to the bed. Fix hands and feet separately, and add a restraining strap to the legs, waist, and chest. On Ani's hand, Gu Zeyuan carefully put on 3 layers of winter gloves. The foot part is quite difficult because there are no socks with split toes. Gu Zeyuan could only wrap cotton fabric around every toe of Ani. Finally, add a restraining band to Ani's forehead. Fill your mouth with a handkerchief and then use an elastic band to seal your mouth. To be honest, this will be quite uncomfortable. But there was no other way. In order to prevent Ani from self-harming and transforming into a giant, Gu Zeyuan could only do so. After finishing all of this, Gu Zeyuan took 2 steps back and appreciated his masterpiece. At the same time, the system panel pops up. Successful containment exception. Giant power. Female giant. Level 3 disaster containment, with a good level of containment. Reward a level 3 lottery once. Your first containment exception will reward beginners with 10 consecutive lucky draws. The levels of containment, from low to high, are 1 danger, 2 lethality, 3 disasters, 4 destruction, 5 apocalypse, 6 to high divinity. Looking at the information on the system panel, Gu Zeyuan smiled with relief. Finally, it was not in vain for him to try his best to deceive the girl's feelings. First, let's have a beginner with 10 consecutive mats to cushion the pool. The interface for beginners to connect 10 times pops up on the system panel. Among them, white rewards account for 40, green rewards account for 30, blue rewards account for 20, and purple rewards account for 9. The probability of the golden legend is only 1. The highest level red reward is 0. Gu Zeyuan shook his head helplessly. Sure enough, it's difficult for beginners to ship 10 in a row. With 10 consecutive button clicks. 10 streams of light streaked across the panel. Gu Zeyuan took a deep breath and widened his eyes. What did he see? Golden legend. 1%, surprisingly, there was gold. Woohoo. Reward white. 100,000 Sakura coins, baby hiccup bag, handsome shirt, blue and white fat CI, strange black silk, 14 apples. Reward blue. M1917 Northern Smith Wesson, Dawn sword. Reward purple. Memory loss crowbar for storage. Reward gold. Perfect black light virus original liquid. Gu Zeyuan couldn't help but marvel as he looked at the reward panel. What are these things? Are all the white rewards here for fun? The blue one is also very average. Purple reward, it's hard to roast. It can only be said that luckily, there is a golden guarantee. Take out the perfect black light virus stock solution. A transparent solvent bottle appeared in Gu Zeyuan's hand. The liquid inside appears genotype static. That is a deep red liquid that gives people a sense of violence. Perfect black light virus stock. Gives the host the ability to engulf any gene and evolve to perfection. Without much hesitation, Gu Zeyuan unscrewed the bottle cap and poured it down with his head up. Deep red liquid poured into the throat. Gu Zeyuan only felt his body burning instantly. Taking 2 steps back, Gu Zeyuan sat down on the ground, gritting his teeth and enduring the pain brought about by the changes in his body. I don't know how long it has been, the pain has faded like a tide. Gu Zeyuan reopened his eyes. As far as my gaze can see, the world seems to have changed. Vision has been developed to the extreme of humanity, and power and speed are no exception. Unfortunately, Gu Zeyuan has always been exercising and is originally an 8-pack abdominal muscle type. The figure is just more symmetrical and coordinated, and there has been no earth-shattering change. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have exercised. Looking in the mirror, Gu Zeyuan roast. Speaking of which, the black light virus can devour genes, isn't the power of giants also? Gu Zeyuan shifted his gaze to Ani on the bed. At this moment, Ani, who was completely bound, appeared somewhat astringent chi. If you want to obtain the power of giants, you must acquire Ani's genes. Blood is the first to reject. If it causes a wound, Ani may become giant when she wakes up. Hair, nails, and the like are also acceptable, but Gu Zeyuan's gaze ultimately fell on the girl's lips. Ani's small mouth was red with a pink tint, as a handkerchief was inserted between her teeth and her lips were slightly open. It seems very delicious. There's no way, this is to gain the power of giants. Gu Zeyuan walked towards Ani while muttering to himself. Just then, the doorbell of the apartment rang. Gu Zeyuan's actions came to a halt, his crime was halted, and he walked towards the entrance. Through the visual doorbell, Gu Zeyuan saw that the girl standing outside the door was the girl next door. The girl had a slight worry on her face. Yingli Li, what's wrong? Gu Zeyuan opened the door and asked with a smile. This neighbor girl, named Zemura Yingli, was Gu Zeyuan's neighbor for 3 years. Yingli pear has a petite figure and can be considered as a registered trademark or handicraft with blonde hair tied into cute double ponytails. Clear blue eyes and porcelain-like skin are recognized as beautiful girls. Yingli Li breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Gu Zeyuan, then looked away and said. I heard a strange noise, come and check it out. Gu Zeyuan suddenly realized. He should have just fallen to the ground after receiving the black light virus and made a noise. That was an accidental bump while moving furniture. Is Yingli Li worried about me? Gu Zeyuan chuckled lightly. After spending 3 years together, the two of them are quite good friends. Yingli Li was able to worry about him, and Gu Zeyuan felt very relieved. I'm not worried about you. Who needs to worry about you, you guy? I'm just curious about strange noises. As soon as the girl spoke, she became old and proud. It can only be said that he truly deserves to be a well-known golden-haired loser in the industry, proud and eccentric Yingli Li. Since you have satisfied your curiosity, Miss Yingli, please come back. It is obvious that Gu Zeyuan has a dark belly and specializes in suppressing arrogance and coquettishness. Yingli Li widened her eyes, her blue eyes filled with disbelief. You're driving me away. I won't do it. As Yingli spoke, she crawled past Gu Zeyuan and rushed into the apartment. The new book set sale, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7 Not getting lost. 7 Code words on the highway. Chapter 5 Mrs. Zemura's worries. Her daughter will not get married. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Yingli Li ran into the apartment. Gu Zeyuan took a deep breath and then calmly closed the door of the apartment. A proud and delicate one, he can still handle it. Yingli Li was originally just driven away and angry. After entering the living room, he was quickly drawn to a stack of paintings on the dining table. Zemura Yingli pair, on the surface, is a dignified and beautiful young lady with a prominent family background. But behind the scenes, it is actually a dead-end notebook painter, still a type renowned in the industry. Of course, his main hobby is still painting. So, when you see the artwork, you will naturally be attracted. Gu Zeyuan followed and noticed that Yingli Li was attracted by the painting, so he unconsciously put away 2 sets of tableware on the table. Oh, just a little English pair. Yingli flipped through a few pages, looking both excited and surprised. Is this Yuan's work? The painter is actually 70% of Miss Ben's level. Yingli Li knows about Gu Zeyuan's study of comics. Some techniques, Gu Zeyuan will also consult with Yingli Li. However, this is the first time Yingli has seen such an exquisite manuscript. Moreover, the girl was quickly drawn to the story on the painting. Until she finished reading everything in one breath, Yingli Li lifted her head again. It's amazing. Is there anything else? I want to see the follow-up. Yingli Li excitedly said. She was completely captivated by the story plot of the giant. Unexpectedly, Gu Zeyuan removed half of the egg fried rice in front of her. Gu Zeyuan shook his head. This is all the original manuscript so far, the rest will take time. Yingli Li put down her artwork with some disappointment, but also couldn't let go of it. Is Yuan going to debut? As a manga artist, he will debut. After all, it was taught by Miss I, and I believe he will soon become famous. Can I introduce you to the editor? Just treat me to 3 dishes. Yingli Li stretched out 3 fingers and smiled somewhat deceitfully. I have 3 opportunities to go out on a date alone, so I should know, there will definitely be progress, Yingli thought to herself. However, it's not necessary, Gu Zeyuan shook his head. Yingli Li. Why? Yingli Li questioned loudly, but soon realized that her behavior did not align with her position, so she could only sit back with a red face. Gu Zeyuan pointed to the English pair and naturally said. Because the editors you know about Yingli Li are all responsible for work-related tasks, and their types are completely unsuitable, right? Yingli pair. Oh, I forgot such an important thing. Yingli Li wants to hold her head and cry bitterly. There will be a way. Yingli Li made a final attempt. Gu Zeyuan reached out and rubbed the golden hair of Yingli pair, then smiled and said, no need. Yingli shook her head and shook away Gu Zeyuan's hand. Yuan is a big idiot. Subsequently, Yingli Li launched a double ponytail attack. The secret technique of swinging hair and using golden ponytails to strike enemies. Eventually, the attack was forced to end due to being held by Gu Zeyuan on both cheeks. Feeling the warmth of the palms on the cheeks. Yingli Li's face instantly seemed to have a layer of rouge, and the red color spread all the way to her neck. Ba ga. Let go of me. It was Yingli Li who took the initiative. No way race. After Yingli Li uttered his signature lines, Gu Zeyuan let go. This proud and delicate creature covered its face and cooled down for a long time before returning to normal. Humph. Yingli Li snorted lightly, setting aside her gaze and not looking at Gu Zeyuan. Coincidentally, his gaze fell on the bedroom door. Yingli Li remembered the painting in her hand and immediately became curious. Curious about what the place where Gu Zeyuan draws comics looks like. Leaping off the chair, Yingli Li walked towards the direction of the bedroom. Just as she grabbed the door handle and was about to open the door. One hand pressed against the door. Yingli Li. The door is held down and cannot be opened. Yingli Li turned her head and saw Gu Zeyuan's face close at hand. This is the legendary wall thud. Upon realizing this, Yingli Li's eyes instantly turned into mosquito coils, feeling shy and at a loss. If you want to explore my room, why is Yingli so curious that she actually likes me? Gu Zeyuan's voice came into his ears. Yingli Li can even feel the other person's breath. The heart lake, which had previously cooled down, boiled again. I. Yingli pair stuttered. Such an ambiguous scene, such intimate behavior. In addition, Yingli Li's heart is indeed full of favorable feelings for the young man in front of her. So, what are you talking nonsense about? I'm leaving. Stupid. Big idiot. Yingli Li chose to flee in the face of danger. It can only be said that if it were anyone else, this situation would definitely have escalated. Undoubtedly, he is a golden-haired loser. He is not capable of success, but there is a reason for his failure. Breaking free from the wall, Yingli Li fled directly to the entrance and then opened the door to leave the apartment. Run all the way into your own apartment next door. At the moment of closing the door, Yingli Li squatted down with her head hugged at the entrance. What am I really doing? All I need to do is... I missed it again. Yingli hugged her head and wept bitterly, regretting her actions. Upon hearing the sound, a beautiful woman walked out of the apartment. The woman's face is 7 times similar to that of Yingli Li, with a petite figure and a pair of ponytails tied around her. It's just that the hair color is black. This is the mother of Yingli Li, Mrs. Zeyuan Xiaolili. Madame Zemura watched as her daughter crouched in defense at the entrance, knowing what had happened without asking. I let out a long sigh of helplessness. Mrs. Zemura is very worried about her foolish daughter. What should I do if I can't get married? Having been a neighbor for 3 years, Mrs. Zemura also knows the boy next door very well. Kind-hearted, handsome in appearance, and a genius in mind, ranked top 1 in the National College entrance examination. My daughter really likes it. Mrs. Zemura naturally wishes for the two to date. However, it has been 3 years. As a mother, she has spared no effort to place several assists in the end. However, my own daughter has made no progress at all. Madame Zemura patted her face with her palm and sighed helplessly. A teenager like Gu Zeyuan must be very popular among girls. If this continues, my daughter is likely to become a defeated dog. After all, adding false green plums to one's arrogance is completely lacking in competitiveness. Mrs. Zemura felt that she could already see the painful image of her future daughter as a defeated dog. Alas, how should mom save you? P.S. For the characters who appear, the author will post a beautiful image of the character in the chapter to enhance the sense of immersion and recall the characters. Isn't it very thoughtful? Thank you, Sanchi. The new book set sale, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 6 is about computer accessories. I added computer accessories. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Place your hand on the bedroom door. Gu Zeyuan shook his head and chuckled. It is truly an English pair. None of this has come up. Gu Zeyuan also sensed Yingli Li's intentions to some extent. Although Yingli Li can be considered a textbook-level arrogance, almost covering up all her favorability. But after years of getting along, one can still feel a sense of something. However, I'm afraid we can't respond at the moment. Open the bedroom door. If Yingli Li sees this scene inside, the consequences would be unimaginable. Gu Zeyuan took a few steps to the bedside and touched Ani's cheek with his fingers. At this moment, the system panel pops up. Reminder. The container has the coordinate attribute and can open the coordinate world portal of the container. The target world is giant, which can accommodate abnormal, giant power. Do Do you want to open the portal now? Gu Zeyuan looked at the system panel and raised his eyebrows. Can we go to the world of giants? No. Temporarily veto, it's not yet time. However, since we can go to the world of giants, we need to make slight changes to the plan. Recalling the plot of the giant, Gu Zeyuan felt it was necessary to take a trip. There are a few talents that need to be obtained. Since the containment system has been bound, for the sake of peaceful daily life, Gu Zeyuan needs to accommodate all anomalies. Keep this world in a harmonious daily life. At least, the surface is harmonious. Therefore, Gu Zeyuan has decided to establish a foundation shelter organization. In the world of giants, there are several people who can serve as the foundation for shelter. However, you need to be prepared before heading to the world of giants. At present, compared to considering this indeed, the gene that devours the power of the female giant has a higher priority. Bending down, Gu Zeyuan opened his mouth and held onto Anina's slightly thin lips. Feel like omitting 20,000 words. Don't ask, asking is paid content. However, due to the handkerchief in Ani's mouth, the experience was not as good. And just within reach, Gu Zeyuan's eyes met Ani's pair of azure eyes. At this moment, those beautiful eyes were filled with anger. Gu Zeyuan let go and stood up straight. The atmosphere is somewhat awkward. Gu Zeyuan had some doubts, whether Ani had other abnormal traits besides transforming into a giant. For example, always waking up at the right time. Otherwise, being caught twice happens to make some sense. Ani twisted her body as hard as she could, with a whimper in her throat, desperately trying to break free from her restraints. However, half a day later, she found that her actions were in vain. It's tied too tightly. Moreover, all methods that can cause scars have been prevented in advance. Both hands and feet are wrapped in soft materials, making it impossible to use nails. Foreign objects were also inserted into the mouth, and the teeth could not even close. At this moment, apart from slight twisting and sobbing, Ani could do nothing else. Stopping her behavior, the girl glared angrily at Gu Zeyuan. She had even developed a liking for the boy in front of her before. In a strange world, a teenager who never tires of communication and is not angry at her suspicions. Looking back now, Ani only feels that his brain is probably broken. She actually thinks this guy is kind. Gu Zeyuan coughed lightly, dismissed his awkward emotions, and looked at Ani, saying, I know you're feeling betrayed now, extremely angry, and trying to kill me. But please remain calm, listen to my next words, and carefully consider, after all, you have no other choice. As he spoke, Gu Zeyuan picked up a water glass from a nearby table. Ani's pupils contracted. That is the cup she used to drink water from earlier, and there is a small bottle of pink medicine in the glass at this moment. First of all, let me explain my little trick to you. This thing is a hallucinogenic drug, and you can't understand its ingredients at the moment. I initially used the kettle on the dining table to give you the illusion that the kettle was safe. Afterwards, use the artwork to distract your attention and use drinks to shift your vigilance. You placed your guard on the liquid itself and chose a safe kettle on the table. But the problem lies in the cup I gave you, so you still fell for it. Gu Zeyuan casually placed the water cup aside. That drug was purchased on an underground trading platform. Yes, it's the computer accessories delivered by the delivery person. The reason for making you dizzy and then controlling you like this is simple. You are abnormal. I have said that I want to protect humanity from abnormal threats. And you, who can transform into a giant, are undoubtedly an anomaly that threatens humanity. Ani listened to this passage and felt regret and bitterness in her heart. She didn't even notice the deeper meaning in the other person's words at the time. And threaten humanity. Ani has become accustomed to being said that way. This is the case in Malaysia, as well as on the island of Parati. But every time I hear it, I still feel bitter in my heart. Observing Ani's reaction, Gu Zeyuan changed his tone. But Ani, what threatens humanity is the power of giants, not you. Upon hearing this, Ani widened her eyes in surprise. Gu Zeyuan continued. You and the female giant are not the same thing. If possible, I hope to protect a girl named Ani Leonard. But this requires Ani Leonard's cooperation. Ani, calm down and think carefully. Ani's eyes gradually lost their anger. But it's obvious that she won't compromise on this either. At this moment, Gu Zeyuan threw a heavy bomb. Ani, I have a way to take you back to that world with Malaysia and Paradise Island. Upon hearing this, Ani's eyes widened instantly. She began to struggle again, with a greater range of movements than when she first woke up. Stop! Gu Zeyuan suddenly snapped. Ani's movements froze for a moment, and finally he stopped struggling, looking eagerly at Gu Zeyuan, waiting for the next moment. After Ani calmed down, Gu Zeyuan spoke again. I can build a portal to connect this world with yours. On this basis, Ani, I want you to abandon anyone's instructions in your mind. Whether it's Malaysia's brainwashing or tasks, their stance and race will be temporarily forgotten. A brand new choice, and also your last chance, Ani, please think calmly. Trapped in the power of giants, he was executed by me. Or, escape. The new book sets sail, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 7. Kissing. What kind of kiss? That's called collecting special. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Escape. Ani looked at the young man in front of her in confusion. What does escape mean? Where can she escape? No, she can escape, at least she can escape now. Ani remembered the scenery of this world. A peaceful street, bustling with people, no one is afraid or worried. There are no giants, no Malays, no Paradise Island here. If that's the case, escaping is indeed a choice. Observing Ani's expression, Gu Zeyuan understood that Ani had already figured out some things. Open the portal, I can connect your father to this world, and then you will escape. Escaping everything, whether it's giants or Malays, anything can be left behind. Afterwards, I will find a way to strip you of your giant power, and then you will be free. Ani was stunned for a moment. What she once longed for the most was to go back, to that home, to that father's side. And now a choice that is 10,000 times more perfect than a dream is presented in front of us. The beauty that was once unimaginable is now within reach. It seems that there is no reason to refuse. So. Ani nodded slightly, indicating that she had made a choice. Gu Zeyuan let out a sigh. Anyway, Ani, this child didn't get brainwashed too badly. If it were for Jia Baili. Not to mention Gu Zeyuan, even if it's a talking giant or a mouth-escaping Naruto, it probably won't work. Afterwards, Ani's cooperation is needed for the containment of the giant world and talent exploration. Gu Zeyuan also didn't want to really execute Ani. Since you have chosen, next I will lift your shackles and prohibit gigantism, understand? Gu Zeyuan cautioned. Ani nodded slightly. Seeing Ani cooperating, Gu Zeyuan reached out and first untied the elastic band that was holding Ani's small mouth. Then take out the handkerchief. It has already been soaked. Gu Zeyuan awkwardly placed his handkerchief aside. Meanwhile, he observed Ani's behavior. If Ani still wants to giant resist, now is the time. Biting the tongue can also cause wounds, leading to gigantism. However, Ani did not make any unusual movements and remained motionless in coordination. Gu Zeyuan finally relaxed all the constraints of Ani with peace of mind. After being unbound, Ani sat up from the bed and rubbed his arm, which had been marked with traces. My name is Gu Zeyuan, please give me more guidance from now on. Gu Zeyuan reported his name and kindly extended his hand. Ani looked at the hand extended in front of her. She stood up and moved her limbs. And then a very swift kick hit Gu Zeyuan's calf. Gu Zeyuan. After being modified by the black light virus, Gu Zeyuan's reaction, perception, and other aspects have far exceeded those of ordinary people. This kick is extremely fast for an ordinary person, but in his opinion, it is not difficult to deal with. Jump up, dodge the kick, and then raise your hand to block Ani's incoming jab. Taking advantage of the situation, he twisted his arm and subdued Ani again. Gu Zeyuan said somewhat helplessly. Didn't it be agreed upon? Ani was pinned on his arm, but he still said fiercely, this is a personal grudge. Gu Zeyuan. What were you doing just now, this guy? Gu Zeyuan. He coughed lightly and awkwardly said. That is a necessary action to collect features. Obviously, such rhetoric cannot convince Ani. Kill you. After being subdued more than 10 times, Ani lay on the ground with no strength to stand up again. Gu Zeyuan didn't even breathe heavily. After being modified by the black light virus, his physical fitness has far exceeded the limit of humans. If it weren't for the power of giants, Ani would be completely a food giver. You can go to the bathroom to wash it yourself later. There is a usage prompt for the water heater, please check it yourself. There are new towels in the cabinet. Please use my clothes temporarily and buy new ones later. I'm going to tidy up my side bed now. Tonight, you'll be sleeping on your side bed. The blankets and the like are all new. That's all for today. Tomorrow, I'll tell you about the plan for the giant world. Speaking, Gu Zeyuan walked out of the room. Subsequently, the sound of organizing items came from the nearby room. Ani lay on her back, looking at the ceiling with a hint of confusion in her blue eyes. That day, the flower board was magnificent and full of unreality. Is that all? All the problems that plagued her throughout her life and caused her pain to this day have easily dissipated. After a long time, Ani finally got up from the ground and walked towards the bathroom. Aldean and Cherry Blossom are the same, which is worth celebrating. Perhaps because they are all island countries. Ani looked at the instructions on the water heater and tried to operate it. Hot water quickly spurted out of the shower. Ani was caught off guard and got drenched all over, and her clothes were completely soaked. Helplessly, Ani could only take off the training uniform with the cross-sword logo printed on it, as well as his own hoodie. In fact, this is Ani's first time taking a hot bath. In Malaysia, Ani, as an Aldean, has a low status and it is not easy to be washed away with cold water. When we arrived at Parati Island, the situation became even worse. Close your eyes and face up to welcome the warm water flow. Ani, who has always had a cold face, couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth slightly. Just as she was enjoying it, a sound came from outside the bathroom door. Ani instinctively crouched down, feeling a rare panic. However, the door did not open. Ani, there is shampoo and shower gel on the shelf in the bathroom, similar to soap. Please follow the instructions to use them. Although it's impolite. You seem to be spoiled. Ani. Although he is a warrior and appears as cold as an iceberg, Ani is only 15 or 16 years old. The timeline is to enter the wall, join the 104 training soldiers, and conduct preliminary exercises. Upon hearing such straightforward words, even Ani couldn't help but feel ashamed. But Ani also understands that what the other party is saying is true. Training soldiers on Parati Island, personal hygiene is indeed a bit worrying. Picking up the bottles and jars on the shelf, Ani carefully read the instructions. Half an hour later, Ani walked out of the bathroom wearing an ill-fitting hoodie. Gu Zeyuan only has his own clothes at home, his clothes looked a bit like pajamas when worn by Ani. Speaking of which, Ani seems to have a fondness for hoodies, and her own clothes are mostly hoodies. The new book set sale, Seeking Flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 8. Devouring giant characteristics and obtaining containers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Stepping out of the bathroom, Ani looked at Gu Zeyuan with a stern expression. Like soldiers waiting for the next command. Then Ani's palm was caught by Gu Zeyuan and he pulled it all the way back to the bathroom. Remember to blow dry your hair after washing it, otherwise it will be splashed with water and cause headaches. Here, this is a hair dryer. Forget it, let me help you. Speaking, Gu Zeyuan plugged in a hair dryer and skillfully helped Ani blow her hair. Ani is a bit confused and doesn't understand why things have turned out like this. The boy behind her gently curled up her hair. Carefully combed the hair with a comb to make it smooth. During this process, the other side is holding a hair dryer and gradually drying the hair. When Ani woke up from confusion. My blonde hair presents an unprecedented smoothness and shine. Ani looked at herself in the mirror and blinked. Strange emotions arose from within. That is an emotion that will never appear in the heart in the original world. Even if there is, it will still be suppressed by tasks and the like. In a moment of wild imagination. Gu Zeyuan rubbed her head. Alright, go rest now. Ani looked through the mirror at Gu Zeyuan behind her, and for a moment, her heart was filled with mixed emotions. Gu Zeyuan did not notice Ani's strange emotions. On the contrary, it was Ani's behavior and demeanor that Gu Zeyuan noticed a slight inadequacy. The movements are a bit awkward. Gu Zeyuan's gaze fell on Ani's precocious development. There is a vacuum there. So the movements are awkward, however, this is also an unavoidable matter. It is impossible for bra to exist in Gu Zeyuan's family. So you can go next door and borrow from Yingli Li, but that kind of thing. Well, let's just forget about it. Temporarily agreed Ani. Moreover, the English pair may not be suitable for Ani. Although Yingli pair is 1 or 2 years older, the development of this golden hair is indeed somewhat regrettable. And the future prospects are also difficult to be optimistic about. After all, Mrs. Zemura can't express herself in a single word. From a genetic perspective, the developmental space of Yingli pair is likely to be lost. Cough and cough. Ani keenly noticed Gu Zeyuan's gaze. Recalling the scenes I saw when I woke up twice. The emotions in my heart suddenly became pure. Turning around and embracing with both hands, Ani looked coldly at Gu Zeyuan. And then, I've wronged you temporarily. Let's take you to by tomorrow. Upon hearing Gu Zeyuan's words, Ani suddenly froze in place. Is that so? Ani, who was not good at speaking, returned to the organized room in a disheveled manner. Lying on a soft bed. Ani looked at the ceiling. Sure enough, no matter how many times I watch it, I feel it's not true. Ani thought she would suffer from insomnia. But soon after lying down, Ani fell into a deep sleep. Perhaps finally shedding the burden, Ani showed a beautiful smile in her sleep. On the other hand, Gu Zeyuan opened the system panel. He still hasn't used the 3rd level lottery. Now is the time. A 3rd level lottery carousel appears on the system panel. In terms of probability, it is only slightly better than the beginner pool. The probability of gold is 5%. Red still doesn't exist. It seems that the system's gift of 10 newbies is very sincere. That's probably a lottery between level 2 and level 3. And only after accommodating Ani did they win a 3rd level lottery. Use the lottery opportunity. A meteor streaked across the panel. Gu Zeyuan's eyes widened instantly. Draw gold alone. Sure enough, I am the Emperor of Europe. There is a 5% chance that the golden legend will appear. Reward received. Code of absolute contracts for confinements. A golden code of law appeared in the hands of Gu Zeyuan. At the moment of acquisition, Gu Zeyuan realized the characteristics of this containment. Absolute Contract Code. The contract signed in the code is absolute. The code of law will impose mandatory constraints on those who sign contracts, using their souls as a bond and requiring them to execute the agreement. Unless the goal possesses supreme divinity, as long as a contract is signed, it will definitely be governed by the contract. Gu Zeyuan nodded in satisfaction. With the absolute contract code, recruiting troops and buying horses becomes much simpler afterwards. You don't have to worry about your subordinates turning against you. Without even thinking about it, Gu Zeyuan drafted an unjust treaty on the absolute contract code. After careful consideration and revision, Gu Zeyuan determined that there were no loopholes left in this treaty. This is when I satisfactorily put away the code of law. Let Ani sign a copy tomorrow morning first. Gu Zeyuan laughed very deceitfully. At this moment, moonlight shone through the window and onto Gu Zeyuan's body. Gu Zeyuan's palm suddenly emitted steam. Gu Zeyuan was stunned for a moment. It immediately reacted. My palm was scratched because I was trying to grab Ani's ring. Now, we are rapidly repairing the wound. It was the black light virus that devoured the genes of giant power and evolved resilience. Just after eating Ani, Gu Zeyuan only gained Ani's memory and did not feel any special power. I thought the power of giants could not be obtained through genes. Originally, there was a lack of startup conditions. Generally speaking, giants require sunlight to drive them and cannot move at night. So giants are actually products of photosynthesis. Gu Zeyuan is not sure. However, after receiving the moonlight, Gu Zeyuan felt an extra strength in his body. Moonlight is reflected sunlight. At this moment, Gu Zeyuan was like a charging phone, with various functions gradually functioning normally. Comprehensive improvement in strength, speed, and other aspects. The resilience has become somewhat exaggerated. At the same time, Gu Zeyuan also mastered an ability called hardening. It can transform various parts of the body into incredibly hard crystal materials. It can be said that Gu Zeyuan now is a humanoid giant. Feeling the power inside his body, Gu Zeyuan nodded in satisfaction. Okay. Undoubtedly, it is the black light virus. As for the ability to transform into a giant, Gu Zeyuan can do it, but it is not necessary. His current body is much stronger than turning into a giant. There was nothing to say overnight. The next morning, Ani opened her eyes. Looking at the unfamiliar surroundings, Ani instantly stood up and put on a cautious combat posture. After a moment, Ani finally remembered what had happened. The raised arm is lowered again. Sitting on the bed with the flow. Ani looked at the exquisite room in confusion. I actually fell asleep easily in this unfamiliar place yesterday. The new book set sale, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway. Chapter 9. Taking Ani on modern shopping. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A knock came at the door. Ani finally regained consciousness from the confusion. After tidying up her clothes, Ani opened the door to the room. The one at the door is naturally Gu Zeyuan. Yo, it looks like you're resting pretty well. Before Ani could say anything, he was pulled into action. Being pulled to the dining table and then pressed down to sit down. Gu Zeyuan brought a mirror and placed it on the table. Then, help Ani comb her hair. Due to a night's sleep, Ani's blonde hair had already blossomed and exploded. A few dull hairs curled up restlessly. It looks quite cute. Ani's fingers caressed the hem of the hoodie. I completely don't understand why Gu Zeyuan did these things for her. She should refuse. But the feeling of being taken care of made Ani feel sweet in her heart. Ani even couldn't understand her emotions. And Gu Zeyuan, observing Ani's reaction, secretly smiled cunningly in his heart. Through the black light virus, Ani's memory was obtained. Gu Zeyuan naturally thoroughly understood Ani. This child, although appearing like an iceberg on the surface, actually silently remembers the good things of others in his heart. I also yearn to be cared for and taken care of. That's also why she insisted on returning to her Malay home and meeting her father. Although that father, well, it's hard to say in one word. I can do it myself. Ani said this sentence with a cold face. It's just that the sound is very low. Gu Zeyuan ignored it directly and pretended not to hear it, while speaking up about the main matter. My plan regarding the world of giants is as follows. Before that, I will provide you with some additional intelligence. Subsequently, Gu Zeyuan combed through Ani's blonde hair. While sharing various secret information about the world of giants with Ani like countless treasures. Attracted by intelligence, Ani allowed Gu Zeyuan to take over. After braiding Ani's hair, Gu Zeyuan went to bring breakfast again. It was not until the two finished eating that Gu Zeyuan could finally finish the intelligence and plan. This is a brief explanation, many details do not involve Ani, and Gu Zeyuan did not mention them. After speaking, Gu Zeyuan flipped his hand and took out the absolute contract code. He opened the back page of the contract and handed it to Ani. The front page is filled with unfair treaties. But the signature of Party B is on the following page. The malice of one's mind is evident. If you agree with this plan, just sign your name here. Then, let's work together for the future of humanity. Gu Zeyuan said grandly. After pondering for a long time, Ani nodded. Although Gu Zeyuan's plan is very frightening, upon careful consideration, it is indeed feasible. She only needs assistance. So, Ani signed his name on the code of law. Well, completely unaware, I packaged myself and sold it to Gu Zeyuan. Putting away the code, Gu Zeyuan smiled happily. Go buy clothes and daily necessities, Ani. Do you want to come together? It's perfect to go and take a closer look at the world. Standing up, Gu Zeyuan issued an invitation. Speaking of buying clothes, Ani instinctively lowered her head to take a look. Well, due to the large size of the hoodie and the angle of bowing my head you can see magnificent scenery. Ani's face instantly turned red and she nodded. So the two of them walked out of the apartment and went shopping. After leaving, Ani looked at the painting in Gu Zeyuan's hand with some confusion. That is the original comic manuscript of the giant. Why bring this thing out? Ani asked in confusion. Gu Zeyuan followed Ani's gaze and looked at the original manuscript in his hand, then said. If you want to submit a manuscript, you have to earn the first bucket of gold from the manuscript fee, and then you can make money from it. Ani's expression is a bit strange. After all, in her opinion, that is the most precious intelligence. It is the future of her world. Gu Zeyuan smiled lightly and shook his head, rolling up the painting and lightly tapping it on Ani's head. These will all become past tense, and your world will develop in different directions. If you want to make a change, you have to look forward and discard useless old things. Ani said nothing more. The two of them walked out, one in front and one behind. However, the apartment next door. In the room on the second floor, Yingli Li lay on the window, staring at the scene with wide eyes. Women. The woman who walked out of the Yuan family. And they are both talking and laughing, and their behavior is quite intimate. Yingli Li let out a mournful cry. How could this world be so tragic? Pain, it hurts too much. Today's victory or defeat is a complete defeat for Yingli Li. Gu Zeyuan was unaware of the fake green plum from his neighbor, and by now he had already looked down upon it. Along the way, I shared various things with Aniko. The two arrived at the busiest commercial street in Chiba. Amidst the crowded crowd, Ani was extremely uncomfortable. For Ani, a large number of pedestrians is dangerous. Due to being wary of pedestrians, Ani gradually fell behind and almost lost contact with Gu Zeyuan due to the flow of people. Gu Zeyuan turned around and found that Ani's condition was not right. But I also understand that this kind of vigilance cannot be let go overnight. So in order not to lose Ani, Gu Zeyuan took the initiative to reach out and hold Ani's hand. Surprisingly, Ani's palms were small and soft. Not covered in calluses due to various trainings. I think it's the benefit of the restoring power brought by the power of giants. Ani's hand was caught and she instinctively wanted to struggle. I earned 2 times but couldn't withdraw. Looking ahead at Gu Zeyuan. Ani suddenly gave up struggling. The two of them clasped their fingers and walked through this bustling street, like a pair of lovers. There are many clothing stores in Chiba. Looking for a famous women's clothing store, Gu Zeyuan pulled Ani inside. The shop assistant lady walked quickly and greeted with a smile. "Hello, may I ask if there is anything I can help you with?" Gu Zeyuan pushed Ani in front of him. "Please help this child match 2 to 3 sets of clothes." Upon hearing this, the young lady in the shop immediately smiled and nodded. Ani looked at the various outfits in the store, feeling novel but also hesitant. She really hasn't done anything like shopping before. Fortunately, there is a young lady in the store responsible for guiding. And Gu Zeyuan smiled and appreciated Ani's reaction. Well, what is the inexplicable joy of raising a daughter? But at this moment, Gu Zeyuan suddenly noticed that someone was watching. Gu Zeyuan glanced at the source of his gaze. That is a blonde girl with a single ponytail tied to one side, dressed in cute clothes. Kill Sanchi, because I haven't written a lot of anime. I wrote the full name of a giant, opened a book and sealed 2 chapters for me. Kill Sanchi and forget it. The new book set sail, seeking flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7 Not getting lost. 7 Code words on the highway. Chapter 10. Encountering a Wasaka AI. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sayaka AI. Born in the main residence of the Sigong family, he was an attendant who received a talent education. He officially became the attendant of Sigong Kagaya at the age of 7. She is the perfect maid with a quarter-Irish ancestry. She is also the most effective helper and the closest sisters of Miss Sigong Hui. It is Hayasaka AI who is peeping at Gu Zeyuan. Zazaka AI knows Gu Zeyuan. It can even be said that one knows the root and the bottom. Because my own young lady had some resentment towards Gu Zeyuan during this period. As a versatile maid, AI Hayasaka was driven to search for information about Gu Zeyuan. The Sagamiya family is one of the 4 major tycoons in Sakura Kingdom, and as the eldest lady, Sagamiya Kagaya almost always manages everything according to her heart. Due to his genius mind, Shigong Hui has been consistently ranked top 1 in the consecutive exams. However, in the crucial joint examination for admission to higher education institutions, he was surpassed by an individual named Gu Zeyuan. After researching the information, Shigong Hui's sense of defeat became even stronger. She was unexpectedly surpassed by an unknown commoner. As the young lady, her idea is recruit such talents under your command. In this way, it can be easily surpassed and sufficient benefits can be obtained. Well, it fits the idea of the wealthy lady very well. After all, the current Miss Hui Ye is still an iceberg beauty, without any sand sculpture. So, Asaka AI had the task of recruiting Gu Zeyuan. Now encountering a target, AI Hayasaka naturally pays attention. However, surprisingly discovered. Hayasaka AI was somewhat surprised. Her surveillance skills have been professionally trained. On the other hand, in terms of information, he was just an ordinary teenager, but his mind was a bit more useful. Hayasaka AI felt that things may not be as simple as they appear on paper. Something's wrong. There are definitely 12 points that are not right. Miss Hayasaka decided to go up. Excuse me, are you shopping with your sister? Do you need a guide? My name is Smith A. Hasaka, and I am quite skilled in clothing. Hasaka AI walked up to Gu Zeyuan and said with a smile. A girl's smile, paired with a youthful outfit resembling a JK school uniform. Give people a cute feeling of spicy girls. Faced with such a beautiful girl's approach, most boys should find it difficult to resist. So, the answer that AI Hayasaka received was, "You're lying." Gu Zeyuan said lightly. Hayasaka AI's smile paused for a moment, but in an instant it disappeared and she tilted her head with a smile. Hey. No, I'm really good at fashion matching. Gu Zeyuan shook his head. I'm talking about names. I've been seen through, my name is AI Hayasaka, hehe. AI Hayasaka tried to get by. Gu Zeyuan let out a sigh and then stopped paying attention to Hayasaka AI. Hasaka AI said anxiously, Sayaka AI is my real name, really. Gu Zeyuan still looked indifferent. Oh, but it doesn't seem to have much to do with me. I'm sorry, I don't need your help. Hayasaka lowered her head and ran away. After distancing himself from Gu Zeyuan's gaze, Hayasaka's emotions disappeared instantly. Just now, it was all acting. The name has been exposed, and there is no way to continue making progress even after the real name is reported. There's no way, this contact ends here. If we continue to entangle, it will cause resentment. Hayasaka AI concluded. Soon, Asaka AI frowned again. Very strange person, there's a big difference between paper information. Follow up and get more intelligence. For Gu Zeyuan as an individual, Hayasaka loves him very much. Because she is her own eldest daughter, Shigong Hui has designated someone to be under her command. If dangerous people are recruited under her command due to insufficient intelligence, it will cause harm to Miss Hui Ye. That's her responsibility as a maid. However, on Gu Zeyuan's side, there was no special reaction after persuading Asaka AI to withdraw. Gu Zeyuan doesn't know AI's Asaka. Well, he hasn't watched the romantic comedy Hui Gao. However, Gu Zeyuan, who had reached the level of non-human observation, could sense the abnormality in AI's Asaka's body. Abnormal performance, physical coordination, and other aspects. At first glance, it is the kind of professional trained by chaebols. Unfortunately, Gu Zeyuan currently has no intention of engaging with such organizations. Has not yet gained decisive power. So, just persuade them to withdraw directly. At this moment, Ani walked out of the fitting room. The dress recommended by the saleswoman was rejected by Ani. The final choice is a set of sportswear. It is very compatible with Ani. It's very suitable for you. If Ani were on campus, she would receive rave reviews and attract many suitors. Gu Zeyuan commented with a smile. Ani, not knowing how to respond, decided to remain silent. Gu Zeyuan didn't care either. Ani's personality is like this. If she says something like, "Thank you for your praise, now." That's the real answer of not caring and acting against one's heart. After purchasing 3 sets of clothes, the two of them walked out of the store. Ani finally feels a bit like a modern girl. Afterwards, the two of them went to purchase bra and fat ci. The process is quite boring. Because Ani's face remained cold throughout, his gaze seeming to be murderous. Scared the store staff a little too scared to approach. Gu Zeyuan could only shake his head helplessly. If you were to joke with Ani at this time, you would be hit by Ani's elbow. And the favorability will decrease. So, Gu Zeyuan went through this process honestly. Afterwards, the two went to Chiba's largest comic and light novel publishing company, Yingli Society. Yingli Society is a well-known large distribution company in the industry. It is difficult to see famous editors from Yingli Society when submitting normally. But the front desk is a little sister. Gu Zeyuan, on the other hand, has a handsome appearance and is impeccable in both height and physique. He is a super handsome guy in the refreshing category. So, at the cost of exchanging lines, Gu Zeyuan obtained the office of a major editor. And, coincidentally, the editor went downstairs at this moment. The receptionist immediately whispered to Gu Zeyuan. That's the editor of Yame Furukawa, responsible for the publication of romance novels and the weekly magazine Youth Jump. After thanking Gu Zeyuan, he turned his gaze to the editor. However, the editor is not alone at this time. She sent out a black and straight girl. Gu Zeyuan's eyes narrowed slightly. Miss Xia Jiqiu. On the first day of the game, we offer a 10-day update. Rewards can trigger additional updates. Please support QAQ. The new book set sale, Seeking Flowers, tickets, and monthly rewards are not too many. Every support from readers is a 100% motivation for the author. Support. 7. Not getting lost. 7 code words on the highway.